Hello, I am Brandon, the humble host of Actual Play Broadcast. This will serve as an introduction to our broadcast for the time being. As we record and publish more, it shall change. We are still getting things set up, so apologies for any errors, skips, or silence that may occur. Everything will be smoothed out in due time. Please enjoy our broadcasts of various RPGs, and remember to tune in for more every week, as continuations or new adventures will be posted at such times. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
I'm recording.
Hi.
It's time for
welcome everybody to another episode of Aldfair here at Actual Play Broadcast, hosted by Zemian. We have saying stumbled into the Outer Wilds is inaccurate and disingenuous.
There wasn't. We made a choice to stumble into it.
True.
Yeah.
We stumbled on purpose.
We voted on it.
It turns out to be the wrong choice, but it was a choice.
We don't know it's the wrong choice yet.
Arguable. We don't really know yet.
It's an exciting choice.
I feel like getting landed into our own world, no matter how far away, would have been the better choice still.
I don't know. It could end up being easier to metaphysically travel from one plane to another than to physically travel from one continent to another on our own plane.
Well, then why don't people metaphysically take vacations, huh? Checkmate atheists.
Not everyone's a fucking mythic party of adventures.
Isn't that the afterlife?
Yes.
In the world,
although the vacations aren't very good, depending on who you go to.
Yeah, I mean, ending up in hell is probably a very bad vacation.
They should have saved up their good boy points then.
So, speaking of intentionally coming here and going to hell would have been a bad place. Why don't we recap what exactly did happen last session? And why are we where we are now?
Whether or not said boy points are good is subjective. But yeah.
Yes. So we continued to learn. We were in limbo, purgatory. Limbo. Nethrak. And we asked more questions of the statue servant, got more answers, had several things put in perspective. And they were like, all right, well, how the fuck do we get back? And they're like, well, let me take you to the city of the Nephilim. We go there. We meet a giant raven who screeches at us in Eldritch. And
you feeling that in the morning?
Yeah. We'll smell that in the morning is the worst part. Why does it smell purple?
It's just how it is.
So that was fun. We were able to, after a little bit of our brain melting, we heard a sentence. It's just like, oh, I didn't expect you to be here so soon. And then it fucked off. So, we got dogged on by an elder being. And then we do a very cursory exploration of the city. It's been abandoned. It was said to be protected by Gorith. But, Gorith failed or was cast out before being able to. And so, it's all fucking destroyed. We find...
In fairness, context clues, I think the whole Het Here thing happened, and he was kicked out by Nalisandrus.
Well, no, Gorth got cast out by Het Here.
Oh, was it by Het Here? I thought Het Here pulled it's a me or the dog thing.
No. Don't know exactly what happened.
I think we projected that.
All you've heard is Het Here cast him out.
Oh, okay. So it was Het Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you know. Maybe there was some additional context that involves some it's me or the dog or some shit like that. Who knows? But what you do know is allegedly a lot of heavy work being put in there. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Het Here threw him out.
We don't know the exact timeline on that. So whether Het Here threw him out before the attack on the city of the Nephilim or if it was during. We're not sure. I think before, based on the story we've heard, but our sources aren't perfect.
Yeah. But we then find a number of portals with a number of sounds that come from them. And based on those sounds, many knowledge plane checks are made. Discussions are had on which one we should go through. Tilk convinced everyone to go through the portal that was most definitely the Outer Wilds.
I mean, you also had one party member who just like dedicated on that portal.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But, you know, hindsight, just 30-30.
I mean, we can still turn this into a big W.
Essentially. And if not, we get to explore the Outer Wilds. That could be fun.
Yeah.
We eventually vote and go through that portal. We find ourselves in a snowy landscape and near a castle with a number of desiccated corpses. Well, I don't know if it was a castle. It was a set of walls. I put
Some
castle.
sort of fortification.
Yeah, a fortification of some sort.
Well, I guess if our GM wants to clarify, is it a palisade or like a wall?
And from what you guys saw, it looked like it could have very well been a castle wall.
Okay.
You didn't get to see the entire like structures behind it. The walls are big. There was this stuff that was decorating the walls, and then y'all were like, you know, this other direction sounds very fascinating.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark, it's snowy, it's cold, and there was a fortification wall that was decorated with heads of beings, I believe flayed individuals. It was just an effigy to murder and torture. So, being the rational human being, the rational mortals that we are, said, no, thank you. Started to leave. Erstyle does, you know, standard survival, like, oh, I'm going to mark that we were here, and like that way we can find our way back and everything. And made the trees very upset.
Yeah, that was not fun to learn.
But you learned it.
That the trees speak something like Vietnamese.
Then we find we run away from that. We find ourselves on a road. We start following the road for a little bit, and an individual starts asking us for help. She said that her cart was attacked by bandits. We start approaching. Erstyle smells something funny.
Oldest trick in the book, and most of us failed the hell out of those sense motive checks.
Listen, dice hate me. It's fine.
So I was like, hey, wait, guys, I don't think we should. And we're going to help. Son of a bitch.
And this looks like a trap, and we're falling for it. Tilk notices a bear trap before it goes off. The witch, I don't. They have magic. The magic bad person who tried to trick and kill us into a bear trap said that we were no fun, transformed, and started combat. Combat I don't think, made it to the second round. They were just nap timed.
Yep.
And
nap timed in murder.
And that's roughly where we left off.
Yeah. And this individual also evaporated into some kind of energy of some kind instead of just being a corpse. And you all had found a cart with a horse in perfectly good condition waiting for you, where there was allegedly supposed to be a broken down cart.
Yeah, that was kind of nice.
No goodies, though. Just the cart and the horse, conveniently.
Also, we conveniently came out of the forest when we needed to, and
yes, a lot of being here seems to sway back and forth between great inconvenience and great convenience.
It's all very narratively appropriate.
Yes.
I think the dice are just having a laugh.
You all load up on this cart and encourage the horse to get moving, and it almost instinctually leads the cart back to the road and is flopping along, pulling the cart behind, making the way down the road. You are following this winding road through a frozen forest of weeping willows, and it is peaceful and nighttime. To describe it a little bit again, the sky is not like the sky back home. Instead, the stars are much brighter out here, and you can see massive celestial bodies. You wouldn't think to call them this, but planets and moons and such hang and loom as great features in the sky. It is very different from the sky back home. And as you are following the road, there is the occasional squawk of a raven as you all make your way down, and pretty soon you're regularly seeing ravens in the trees. Some following the cart, some waiting in the trees and squawking and cawing here and there.
I think that the Forgotten One believes they are funny.
Yeah.
Laughing at you like they usually do. At least not lately.
I, for one, am not amused.
At least
will-
you're being a little nicer.
I will ask, Liana,
Hmm?
you're knowledgeable about the other planes, right?
I like to think so.
I have a
I hope I'm right.
strange question.
Yeah.
Do all of us share a moon? Each shard.
Should I roll for that, or is that just like basic? I actually don't know.
Saying, do all of the planes share one like moon as in the celestial body?
Yes. Not necessarily like it's going to be in like the same position like throughout, or it's going to be in a relative position throughout, but like it's not like it's not going to be, oh, that moon on this plane is red and that moon on this plane is green.
Yeah, that would be in knowledge planes. That is very particular knowledge. And it's not something
That's
that
like
would
trivia.
be commonplace. Yeah.
Well, Tilka's like looking up and seeing
Where's the server?
the celestial bodies that was just like, the fuck is that thing? The fuck is that thing? And we were just in another plane and like looking at going to other planes. He's just like, is the moon universal?
Yeah, they're like big multicolored balls surrounded by rings. Some not. Some are singular colored. Some are multicolored. Like it's a wide variety of things suspended in the canvas that is the night sky. Fucking 30 though tells
This guy's
you.
pretty here.
God damn.
The celestial bodies are a strange thing because the planes kind of do and don't share the same physical space. It's not super clear. It is one of those metaphysical questions that has been a constant quandary. There are some planar travelers who historically have claimed to see the same moon across some of the planes, but then some of the planes, you never do see the moon. Like the plane of Earth is, you pretty much never see it.
Are you like underground in the plane of Earth?
Yeah. There's allegedly no sky there, as far as anybody knows.
You just tunnel in a direction forever.
Yeah. So it's kind of a yes and no answer.
To be honest, that's actually something that's up for debate.
Oh. It's just never thought I would end up going to another plane, let alone the ones that we've gone to.
It's been an interesting journey so far. I mean, most visitors to Nekrath don't go to any other ones afterward either, so that worked out well.
Yeah, not wholly comforting thought. But it's just a thing to like, because we've had to these past few months be very aware of the moon. So I found myself looking at it more and more. And
that's very understandable.
it's just a weird question. Thank you for satisfying my curiosity.
No problem. Assuming the curse persisted through death, I suppose we might find out more about how the celestial bodies work when the time comes.
If I have the feeling that I'm going to change, I'm going to do everything in my power to suppress it. So, because this is an environment that isn't stable, so
yeah, that would not be good. Even with our meager infrastructure back home, we had at least made it semi-manageable and made sure that no one would go running off into the forest, never to be seen again.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, that kind of incident seems like a probably very common occurrence here in the Outer Wilds. Running off into the forest, never to be seen again. I mean, not necessarily changing into a weird creature.
Indeed. I will say, I have. Caius has taught me a little bit of magics. I can create water. Don't know if we necessarily need that at the moment. Come tomorrow, I might be a little bit more helpful. Would you have any suggestions for this plane? Any kind of magics that I should particularly push for using?
Well, creating our own food and drink in the Fey realm is probably a good thing.
As the discussion of food and drink comes up, suddenly you all feel hungry and thirsty.
God damn it.
Damn it, Rhea, you jinxed it.
Oh, man. I have rations still.
No.
No, I do not.
You do not have rations.
I guess let's try to do some hunting.
Should I, can I roll to see if there are any particular planar hazards that I would have learned about in the past?
You can try.
Okay.
I would like to assist Leon on this.
All right, so base 22 before any assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my planar studies,
I
don't
can't
know
fail at an assist roll, so.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I have a plus 12, so.
Gotcha.
So 24.
Detailed writings on Magaire is, not common.
Yeah.
You know, it is said that Magaire does team with life. However, nobody's really sure how much of that life is just fey creatures in different forms. what could appear as one thing could simply be Fae in another shape. And so it is difficult to know what exactly is safe if one were to do something such as hunting or trying to scare off a stray dog or whatever, really. For all you know, you could be upsetting somebody.
Yeah.
Where magic is very strange. At least the magic the Fae wield is very strange.
Yeah. And even if we do succeed, then we're just killing and eating a person, which is also not a great result.
Well, so I got a weird question, but are Fae even edible?
Since
Everything
they,
is at least once.
well, the last one we fought dissipated.
That's true.
True.
They might be breathable in that case, but I will not be the first to test that.
I am not going to snort a Fey being.
Well, I'm not going to eat a Fae or breathe it if I don't know that it's safe.
I have this for water. I can create 2 gallons of water.
That seems pretty good.
Period or at a time?
Realistically, at a time. Period.
2 gallons of water ever for his entire life.
I mean, you know, it's magic. And I didn't even know Till could use magic, so.
Taking some time to kind of hone it. I'm not very gifted in that aspect. I'm more martially focused.
I mean, it's okay, Tilk. You can still hit things harder than any of us.
Well, unfortunately, that hasn't gotten us much of anywhere.
I mean, it has literally saved our life a couple of times. Remember when that one thing stole my soul? I don't, but you guys told me about it. And then you cut it in half.
I appreciate
by the way, that entity probably came from here.
Oh, so we get more of those. Fun.
Maybe.
Yay.
Oh,
well, I'm not touching weird stuff this time.
Was that right?
I said that fills me with glee, as in very sarcastically. Am I still? Is it good?
Yep, better now.
So.
Yeah, we heard you.
Yeah, Rhea just sarcastically added, "That fills me with glee."
Yeah.
I mean,
Ursal is watching the area around the cart.
So, Ursal, you do notice as the cart's been moving along, more and more ravens have been showing up. Some of them you've been coming upon ahead on the road. Some of them have been on the road. Some of them have been in the trees. Some of them are flying overhead. And as you see the ones flying overhead, you also notice it's subtle, but the sky has been moving. You're not sure how long it's been moving for, but it's not moving like the sun moves across the sky, no. The stars in the sky are sort of swirling like wet ink bleeding across paper.
Concerning. Ursal takes out his notepad and makes a note.
but food is gonna be the harder thing for us to get. If we want to risk pissing off more plants, could always try to forage for berries. It's not much, but it's something.
Oh, that does seem a little bit less risky.
We probably should try and hunt and forage. And we'll probably deal with consequences of doing so.
Oh, that's not right about those trees.
Yeah,
Well, I
bay
assume
trees?
there are predatory creatures around here somewhere. I wonder what they do.
Still be pursued?
Well, I mean, if they're hunting for their food, is there something they do to differentiate between shapeshifted fae and regular creatures? Or do they just have to try and see how it goes every time?
But it's a tricky situation. Are there more of these fucking things?
I mean, probably.
Ravens?
Yeah.
Looks down at notepad. It's tripled since the last I looked.
Oh, joy. Is this your way of saying you want to talk?
What do you mean?
There's a lot of chattering among the birds. Incoherent babbling as far as you're concerned. But the noises they're making do pick up when you are talking at them.
Sense mode of the birds.
What?
Sure, bud.
You can certainly try.
Yep.
That is perfectly fine. I sense mode of the birds.
The burps.
Say the word. Oh no. Okay, that's fine. I don't have to sign in, so that's good. I get a sense mode of 22 on the birds.
Watching how they're moving about, you think it might be one of two things. They're either guarding something, or they are leading the way to something. Not that you've been intentionally following them, but they've been moving along this road with you. And once they start following you, they keep up with you. None of the birds linger far behind. They continue to follow you and move with you, and some go ahead of you. But you also, of course, have noticed that some of these birds are already perched in some of these trees as you're passing by. So they could be guarding something.
We're being escorted to our doom. Got it.
Eventually.
So, do we want to stop and try to hunt, or do we want to keep going?
I suppose that it might be better to get a lay of the land and try to hunt before we are too hungry to have the time to set aside. If we just try to hope that we come across a town, it's a lot of hope for very little information.
Yeah, whether or not that town would be willing to share food or not, different question.
And I mean, it is a forest. Even if it's a planar, even if it's different planarly, then it should still have food. Like, it has to have an ecosystem.
I mean, I feel like that's making an assumption. Most islands I know don't float in the sky.
I can believe that, like, trees and squirrels and wolves work the way they do generally, or I can believe that we're fucked. I would prefer the former.
But yeah, we'll attempt to stop the
Yes.
horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you command the horse to stop, it'll stop. And it will sort of neigh, stamp its feet for a moment, but it will stay.
I'm gonna do with all these birds around me. I'm gonna do sense evil. At this point,
Sure.
Tilk is just concerned.
It's the horse. The horse is evil.
Oh my god. So detect evil.
You do not pick up on any evil auras. Actually, what's the range on it?
60 feet.
Okay. You do get a couple pings, like 2 or 3. And they those pings are coming from either side of the road. As I recall, you can kind of perceive in your mind's eye the position of the aura relative to you.
You can sense the presence of evil. The amount of information revealed depends on how long you study the subject. 1 is the presence. 2nd round, number of evil auras, and in the area and the power of the most potent evil aura. The power and location of the aura is on the 3rd round.
Say, focusing, you are picking up on 3. 1 is to the right side of the road, 2 are to the left. Focusing on them, none of them seem particularly more powerful than the other. You're able to determine that some of the trees are evil.
Oh!
Some of the trees.
Earth style? Just a heads up. Some of the trees could be classified as malicious.
Slow turn towards Tilk. Blink. Slow turn and look to the sides of the road.
Yeah, I will, on the 3rd round, if I'm able to identify them, I'm going to point at them. It's like that tree right there, and those 2.
Yeah. And looking at them, they are not visibly any different compared to any of the other weeping willows. They all just look like trees.
Oh. Intriguing.
Intriguing.
I'm glad someone actually picked that up on that one.
Would any of these register as like faint? Or undead or an outsider? I imagine they pick up as outsider.
They do pick up as outsider.
Okay.
Hopefully the evil trees here move at the same speed as the trees back home.
I don't want to think about that.
These are actually a predatory species. They're just that good.
Oh no.
I don't like that.
So, what are y'all doing?
I've done my bit. I've pointed to the evil trees. It's on the rest of you to gather food.
Well, let's avoid the trees that are evil. I guess try to find food.
Or eat them, since metaphysically speaking, at least they deserve it.
That's one way of looking at it.
But they might also be poisonous, so maybe not.
So,
Well.
who all is going off into the woods in search of food?
Earthbow.
Arstone. Don't everybody volunteer all at once.
I was trying to think like if I'm even a good person to do that. Oh.
Besides, if there's any planar poison, Earthbow wants it.
Oh god.
Yeah, I'll go with whoever goes to add some utility if needed.
Okay. So, Arstone, Leon, anybody else?
I can follow.
Okay, Rhea.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the cart. And
Oh, I was muted this whole fucking time. Kill myself.
Nice.
get.
I was saying
Good game,
I could go
good
with
game.
Earth style because I have nature expertise and planar expertise.
Okay.
I might not be able to help survival stuff, but I can at least be a knowledgeable person. But I would, if 3 people are going, then I think Tilk and I should stay.
Yeah, we shouldn't leave someone alone. That's
Yeah,
probably-
that the whole point of this was I don't think anyone should be alone at any point.
Okay. So, Sveta and
You
Tilk
are.
staying up.
Sveta is probably better at foraging than I am.
Mhm.
Okay,
You
you
know,
want
it's
to
literally, like,
raid
most
out with me?
people. Yeah, me swapping with you might be good because all I am going to provide is like if we get into combat, I can do magic things.
Okay. In that case, I will go with Earth style and Liana will stay with
Rhea.
us.
Okay.
Well, Rhea's going with us, right?
Yes. So, Leon and Tilk staying at the cart. Rest of you
Yeah.
are going to avoid at least the evil trees that you're aware of and go into the woods in the hopes of finding something edible. So, one of you decide amongst yourselves who is doing it, and I will assume the other 2 are assisting to make a survival check.
I think that's a Earth style thing.
I am going to assist at least.
Rhea, what's
Yeah.
your survival?
Worse than yours.
What is your survival?
It is 1.
Got it.
Yeah,
Hopefully you can make a DC 15.
No, I don't assist successfully.
Okay. Plus,
Neither do I.
None of us Rhea. Sadness.
I didn't. We didn't succeed regardless. Like even if you weren't paranoid.
All right.
I know.
First,
We're
you. The others are trying to give advice, but it doesn't really seem to be landing. Maybe you're ignoring them, or maybe it doesn't seem like good advice. Who knows? But you're following your instincts. As you're moving through the forest, looking for indications of potential food sources, it's really sticking out that you're not hearing insects. You're hearing birds.
Because the raven.
Some of them are kind of obnoxiously following overhead, chattering amongst themselves.
Are we providing at least a good enough entertainment?
And you're moving, you're not seeing tracks of animals until you do at one point see a set of tracks that look somewhat bestial. Potentially hooves, maybe. And you track them for a good distance. And those tracks lead to a spot. It's not really a clearing. Well, I guess technically it is a clearing by definition because it's not as dense where the trees are there. There's kind of a bit of an open area. And as you approach that open area, in the middle of the snow there, you see a group of probably about 30 ravens suddenly scatter as you come into view, cawing. And you can see there is some kind of corpse half buried in the snow.
Well,
Like to approach.
Can I tell what the corpse looks like from where we're standing?
At a glance, it looks like it's probably the birds have probably been eating it.
Can we see the corpse, or is it just Ursal?
You guys can, yeah, you can see it. It's just like it is surrounded by snow, and it's like not laying on top of the snow. So it, from your perspective, it's half buried.
So
you are seeing bone here and there, but it's really hard to tell what exactly it is you're looking at.
In theory, I could test if it's a person.
What do you mean test?
Well, so there's two ways we can go about this. One is helpful. One is really fucking stupid. So
Okay.
I can slumber it. And if it is vulnerable to going to sleep and alive, like it's waiting to trap us, it will be asleep and we can gank it safely. Or if it's not alive and it's edible, I can fix that.
Why don't I just use a pepper ball?
I mean, I suppose if you want to use that resource, I can just hex things infinitely, essentially.
Ooh, I don't
It's not
think
hard to do.
That's fair. I just don't think we should do anything magical just yet. If
It worked out last time.
Yeah, it worked out last time, but different things in different planes react differently. We haven't seen everything.
I mean, yeah, but if you really think it's best that we pepper ball it instead of that, that's your call to make. But I think we lose nothing. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't do anything, and if it does work, then we gained everything.
Hey, the pepper ball seasons it.
Hey,
So throwing a pepper ball.
pepper ball, fling, swing.
Sure. Easy enough. You launch a pepper ball over there, nothing happens. Pepper ball hits where you're aiming, and at least there's no response. You hear it land, and just silence. Aside from the ravens.
Was that your
now
guys' blood?
scattered to the surrounding willows and are cawing and chattering.
Do they laugh extra much when we can?
Yeah. They're not doing their mock laughter noise.
Was this your guys' lunch, or style just out to the nearest ravens?
They don't seem to pay you any particular mind. They are making noises, rustling around in the branches of the willows.
Rhea?
Yes.
Cover me. I'm going to walk towards the thing. Sveta?
She knocks an arrow on her bow.
Oh, you know what actually might not be a bad idea because Drea has a bow. We could just shoot it with an arrow.
Where is that? I was also gonna say,
It's not
get
like
ready with your hexes and. I was gonna
Oh yeah,
poke
I'm
it.
always ready.
Okay.
So approach him.
I will approach by myself.
I thought we were gonna shoot it. Okay.
Well, he's telling Ray to be ready in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
But crossing into the open, you approach this body and you see a half-eaten. At first, you think it's a deer, but then you're looking at it and it's like kind of shaped like a person too. It has very humanoid features, very recognizably like humanoid type face, but it has antlers. Its legs and parts of its torso have thick fur, brown, like chestnut brown type fur.
1 sec.
But it's like essentially the top half of the body that's exposed to that's like first visible is mostly just bones and like some remnant strips of like flesh and such. Even the eyes of like even one of the eyes has been plucked out, but you can see the other eye is still intact. But the curious thing is you see through the ribs that have been picked apart or been picked clean anyways, throughout the body there are roots growing into it.
Interesting. I roll a relevant knowledge against this thing.
Well, this is gonna be a
Knowledge nature, if it's fine.
This is actually gonna be more applicable to Arcana in this situation.
26 Arcana check.
Okay. There, it doesn't match exactly, but something kind of tickles at your mind. It kind of rhymes. It kind of rhymes with the wood elf practice from Ahios of planting, where those who are ready to pass on are alchemically prepared, and they will become trees within the wood elf domain.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like maybe maybe it's not the same thing, but seeing all of these willows around and the one corpse here is like actively being, invaded by roots. Perhaps maybe it's some kind of far more ancient way of doing that. Or maybe something more sinister. It's hard to say, but you can't help but shake the feeling it might be vaguely related, considering some of these trees have pinged as evil. Which would imply that in some capacity, these trees are not plants. Because plants don't really have alignments. Not as far as you know, anyways.
At least they shouldn't.
Exactly.
I then look around the remnants of this corpse. Is there anything useful in the snow?
There is you can find there's a bow, collection of about like 10 arrows, and a pouch of strange-looking gold pieces. Roughly 5 of those.
Interesting. First, I will collect the items. He'll also pull out his notepad, and he will make a sketch. He'll get, after he's done sketching, he's gonna turn to like Rhea and Sveta and just be like, "Whatever this is, it's dead. Don't know how long, and
What killed it?
I don't know if it was actually killed
I mean,
or
slide down and die
something
there.
else. It reminds me of stories that my mother would mention of how elf kind would prepare bodies to become one with the wood.
Here, let me check it out.
Is it like some burial thing then?
The only thing is that this doesn't look like a burial thing, but it has similar setup.
Soto will come over and I guess can I make a medicine roll at it? Or a heal check, I guess.
Sure. Are you trying to determine cause of death?
Yeah. Cause of death, I guess, like, and then if I can get some general information on it.
Okay.
Like how old the body might be and whatnot.
Sure.
It had 12 hearts.
Yeah. I'm gonna preemptively search this one.
Emphasis on had.
Wow, kill myself. I rolled a 2 twice.
Game.
Yeah. So with a 10, you've never seen a creature like this before. The root situation is definitely very strange. You're pretty sure that's not the cause of death. You think you might see some scratches on it. It's hard to tell though because ravens were apparently feeding off of it, so maybe they were leaving scratches from landing on it. Hard to say. But yeah, it's just definitely weird. There is no clear, aside from the parts that have been eaten, there's no like super obvious, oh well, it took an arrow to the head or anything like that. So yeah, it's just strange.
Question.
Well,
First, I will also do his own examination,
Sure.
looking over Sveta's shoulder.
What's your question, Brandon?
So you're saying the roots weren't the root of the problem?
Fuck you.
commit die.
In Minecraft. Yes.
I'll do it in Dark and Darker.
I'll
I
leave
get
it
an
at 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scratches, and you do notice, even in the side that's like down towards the snow and towards the ground, there are like indications of like pecks and scratches and stuff. So maybe the ravens killed this creature. Hard to say for sure, though, with so much of it being consumed.
Well, my best bet is whatever killed the creature, the ravens ate it away. So like whatever the dying wound was, and that I think from there the roots had started to sprout. Whether the roots are part of it, or just like a parasitic organism that has decided to leech off the dead body, like mushrooms or something, is hard to say.
I think it's likely the trees that are actually leeching off.
Is it truly parasitic if the target is dead?
Oh yeah.
On one hand, on the other, it could just be street, just regular food.
Well, what I mean is, they could have started. It could have started leeching off of him before he died. It just
Yeah.
weren't. They weren't the causes of that, which would make it parasitic rather than just eating.
But
You know, like
we don't know if that's the case. It just started right after.
I didn't say if it was. If I knew. I'm saying that's possible.
Well, was the corpse humanoid?
It looks vaguely humanoid.
Yeah, it looks like kind of
it's got,
part deer
got
person.
bipedal leg. It's got arms. You can use a bow and arrow. Shows off the items.
Yeah, examines the book.
Like.
Oh, it looks like. Is this currency?
I believe so.
Yeah, the gold coins are strange. They have a sort of like a crown on either side, but it's like a very thorny looking crown. And it has Elvish writing on it, but you can like pick out some words like Night Crown, and like gold, but it's the rest of it is kind of gibberish. Maybe this is some kind of offshoot of Elvish, or who knows.
Question.
Yeah.
Regarding the language, is it like a mix of Sylvan as well?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I'm hesitant to like be grave robbing, but the coin might be actually very helpful if we get into a town.
As for the bow, Rhea, it's fairly simple in design, but well made. It's effectively a master crafted longbow.
Not bad.
She checks it over to see that it's okay. I'm like, a little bit better than what I have. I think it feels better.
Is there any wear and tear of like aging on the bow?
Like
There's a little wear and tear from it being used, certainly, but aging, nothing that stands out to you outside of the norm.
She runs a finger on the string and just looks at it. It's like, well, taken care of, etc., etc.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's been cared for. The creature that was using this did not just happen to pick it up and make do. They were very likely somebody who knew their way around a bow and how to take care of it.
Or funsies. I would
good quality.
I would like to detect magic.
Oh, sure.
Just first a glance to the body, see if there's anything there. Maybe the bow in frame.
Gets flashbanged by the Pharaoh.
Hey, I'm after it, so I'm ready.
You don't exactly get flashbanged, but a lot of shit is lighting up around you.
Yeah, I expected that.
The snow and such is pretty normal. The body does not particularly ping as magical. However, the trees, the ravens, the sky, a lot of shit is lighting up.
Okay. The body and the bow aren't particularly.
Yeah, they're mundane.
Okay.
Well, as mundane as something from the Pharaoh can really be.
Yeah, good news is the roots aren't particularly magical, so we don't have to worry about them, like, I don't know, growing.
Oh, no, the roots are magical. They're part of the trees.
Yeah, the roots are magical.
I guess, so my question is, are the roots, like, extending with their magical, like, aura extending to the nearby trees, or are they coming out of the body and fresh?
No, they're invading the body. They're coming up from out of the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he
okay.
was
I
like
misunderstood.
detail.
I thought like roots were coming out of this dude
Yeah.
rather than going in.
It looks like while the ravens were eating the top half, there were roots digging into the bottom half.
Oh, so these really are just murder trees. They're fucking. These are carnivorous trees. That's cool.
I
That's
would
weird.
love it.
Because they're absolutely just eating this man.
Love to see it.
Yep. So.
Life.
Otherwise,
finds a
like
way.
that's within a degree of mundane. The bow and the dude are mundane. Doesn't look like there's anything like lying in wait
No.
to get at us. So, well, she's saying this.
Yeah. Also, question. Masterwork doesn't really do anything because I think we have the automatic bonus progression.
Yeah. It's just I'm
It's a
mostly
list.
using it as a descriptor of how well made it is.
Yeah. It's a nice bow.
Yes. So, what do y'all want to do?
There doesn't with the snow on the ground. There doesn't look to be like any form of track besides the birds running around on the ground, pecking at the thing. Interesting.
Up to Liana. I hope they're having luck out there.
I guess
Hop over to the cart.
Yeah.
Let's either keep moving and trying to find something, or
in the case of Zemian, is saying hopping over to the cart to see what they're doing over there.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry
Over
about
at
that.
Well, back at the cart.
You two are hanging out. Most of the ravens still hanging out. They've stopped moving ahead now that you all have stopped moving. They are hanging out in the boughs of the trees, chattering and such. You did notice some of them did follow the other group, but for the most part, they're lingering here.
This is unusual, right? Like for the Outer Wilds, there's not just murders of crows and ravens just following people around.
Probably not. I mean, given our previous experience with them, I think it's more likely that these ones have to do with the Forgotten One.
Yeah.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, if either of those two remains to be seen.
That'd be worth asking. Kind of hoped it would maybe be normal. Dose of normalcy.
Normal is a strange word in the Outer Wilds.
Oh, it's becoming a strange word around us.
That's true. We do have strange ties to fate and each other, though, so I suppose that is to be expected.
Let's hope these things are helping us get back faster.
Yeah. I imagine they probably aren't trying to make it worse just because they wouldn't really have to. I mean, if we just wandered aimlessly here, that would probably lead to our eventual end anyway, so it's not like they really need to lead us into a trap. That didn't sound as reassuring coming out as it did in my head.
No, it didn't.
No.
My issue here is if this thing this being forgotten one, these ravens, have a vested interest in, I don't know if I want to say our success, but our continued existence.
Yeah.
There's a small part of me that just wants to bulk against that.
Is that because you're worried about the motives of that entity, or are you just feeling rebellious?
It feels like a lack of control.
That's fair.
My decisions aren't really mine.
Yeah, that's understandable. The way I've sort of been looking at it is that I am making decisions to the best of my ability. I'll accept help as it comes, but if what I am already doing happens to align with what another entity wants at the moment, and because of that, certain parts of it are made easier for us, I'm not one to complain.
I guess to be fair, the decisions I've been making have not necessarily been the best ones.
Well, you've been making decisions, which is more than most can say.
Time will tell whether or not that's for the better or not.
It's better than doing nothing for sure. And I think with the information we had and the paths we saw at the time, I don't think your decisions were necessarily wrong or even unreasonable. Even if the likely outlook was grim, we were cornered by a god. There were not very many options.
Hells, I think we were cornered by 2.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering how exactly we should deal, or well, how we should interact with Goreth moving forward. Hearing about what he apparently used to be like leads me to believe the way he is now is largely due to what has happened to him rather than his inherent nature.
I mean,
assuming everything we heard is true, which
is an assumption
also
to
coming
make.
from gods. So
yeah, there's also the issue of we have. That's what Gorth was like. It's not who Gorth is now.
Yeah. What I mean though is that maybe if we can help him to get back to what he was before, maybe that would be a good thing.
I mean, I think it would be a good thing, but
I don't know if it's possible or not.
I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if you can't help a person, let alone a god, who doesn't want help.
That's true.
But, Sveta already said that they would attempt if we get back, Sveta said they would attempt to try to make amends. Wonder how Goroth will take seeing someone that he watched die. Wonder if that will give us any, not special privilege. I think we burned that bridge.
It might give him pause. Though he may also be angry at us for the attempt. Best case scenario, I suspect there will be an oath involved, given his priorities.
be interesting to look at. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to reconcile my faith.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like right now. I never had a whole lot to begin with, to be honest.
A couple days ago, I would have told you to change that. But, well, I'm not that person anymore.
Wonder who will be after the next couple days.
Question if I'm that person spiritually. I know that our bodies were recreated because we saw that scene unfold.
Yeah.
But are these I don't think I'm smart enough to ask those questions.
Yeah, it's something that I've been wondering about too, and it didn't seem like Servant had the right information to answer it. I mean, as far as my senses tell me, we're alive again. And for all intents and purposes, maybe we are. I mean, we're able to move and interact physically on planes outside of wherever our respective souls would have gone. Or we're on the way to, I suppose, before being pulled to Necrath.
But were our souls sifted out of the primordial and just, regrew from what it was? Or were they recreated? And if they were recreated, are we really the same people? If you think about it, and now we cut to the...
Oh God. Okay. So yeah, we'll jump back over to the forest team. What are y'all up to?
By the way, tune into Eclipse phase.
Hey, you ever wonder why we're here?
One of life's greatest mysteries, isn't it?
God. I need to copy pasta that into a Praetorium cutscene.
Tell me, for whom do you fight?
So, forest folks, what are you doing?
Well, I guess let's keep trying to find game if we can. I mean, because otherwise we're gonna have to shoot down the ravens. And I have a feeling that might be a bad idea. And I'm not eating this corpse. I don't want sloppy thirds.
Well, actually, there's no sign of decay on this, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
It's cold outside.
yeah.
it is
Well,
cold.
besides, it is cold outside, but like, there's no sign of like.
No, there's no sign of rot.
There's no sign of rot. There's no sign of decay. Yeah, no, Urstell's internally going. Something's not right. This is cannot use regular logic in this world, in this realm.
I mean, cold climates are good at maintaining things.
That's not the logic he's
the
talking about.
10,000-year-old mummies who just froze in ice and shit.
What's a mummy? You know what that is.
Fair.
It's my mom.
But also a thought for Urstyle, since he's just thinking this and not pointing and not like saying it, is the ravens have clearly been eating.
Yeah, but again, you're trying to give a thought to someone else's internal thoughts.
No, I mean he's smart enough to realize that.
That's not what I'm trying to get at. But okay.
Hey, disregard it if you want. I'm just like, Anyway, Sveta, again, we probably should just keep looking, I guess.
If you want to look at it again, it's just going to be another survival check.
Roll again.
All right. Second burst, same as the first. Maybe we'll get above a 5. Hey, almost made it.
Not too bad, actually.
Very-
Not too bad.
Everything to help.
Oh,
You got a 2/3 chance of getting it if you surge it.
Yeah, I'm not mythic. I'm not using a mythic surge to do that.
That's fair, because it's only a 15.
you all spend a few minutes looking and you just don't find anything. This forest seems to go on forever. And as you explore further, you see the sky is twisting and almost writhing above you. Some of these celestial bodies are no longer spherical. They are sort of spiraling, as if somebody took a paintbrush and just smeared it in a circle.
First Al takes a note in his notepad as he observes the changes going on in the sky. Well, I don't see anything else over in this area, and I don't think we're going to find much of anything else. Well, that's just a hunch right now.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna call it. Head back.
Probably. I'm now concerned about what's going on with the sky in this realm.
That makes sense, I guess. It is a plane, different plane, so I imagine the sky maybe works different.
Would it be a storm? Or is it just changing because of the wind? That's concerning.
We'll find out when we find out, I guess, you know.
Hmm.
I am taking the stance of try not to think about it too hard, and maybe it won't cause my brain to literally melt.
All right. So you all make your way back to the cart, and the two of you that are there see your 3 companions return, albeit mostly empty-handed. Ray is carrying a bow that you do not recognize.
I
Nope.
have a bag.
And yeah,
no,
and,
regardless,
has
we
a
are,
bunch.
at least for the sake of the rest of the world, the same. Oh, hey, welcome back.
Hello.
Where did you find
There was a corpse being eaten by a plant.
that? Uh-huh.
Very weird.
That sounds lovely.
Mhm.
It reminds me of burial practices, but it's not exactly burial practices.
And this looked more random. Like, but then again, who is saying this place?
Well, we did hear earlier that some of the trees are evil, so I guess that makes sense.
Oh yeah, they were eating a dude.
Wow, they look, yeah.
Like quickly or at just normal tree growing speed?
I mean, the group
growing speed, probably.
into a dude's body.
Yeah.
That's fucking
So
terrible.
like not super quickly, but you know, faster than I'd like.
Right, if we have to sleep here, let's watch where we do it.
Mm-hmm. Urge to burn down the forest. That's surprising.
I'd rather not.
Are you sure that's not just the dragon inside?
No.
That's true.
Well, maybe we travel a little further and try again. We could also ask the Ravens if they feel like helping out with something like that.
Does anyone speak with animals?
I mean, I could speak to animals.
I'm pretty bad at the Corvid dialects.
It seems like these ones can at least understand us, even if we can't understand them. So that's something workable.
Oh,
Yeah, we got some strength left, so we can probably keep walking a little bit, and then, or should we try and actually do something now while we're still here, or?
I'm. Ravens, a multitude of ravens. Did you bring us something to eat?
We could just ask the lead. Let's do something, but whatever.
There is chattering. You also do throughout hear a couple of the oh. And you do see a couple of them do fly ahead down the road.
So I guess food that way?
Maybe.
Or they decide to fly that way to go look at something.
Yeah.
I
Like I
mean,
said, some are chattering, some are making that laughing noise, some flew ahead. So, whatever meaning you decipher from that is up to you.
Makes sense. Motive.
Sure.
No,
Those
I
are in
only
fact
get an
ravens.
11. They are indeed flying that direction.
Those are capricious birds with potential ties to something you don't quite understand. And therefore their motives are indiscernible at the moment.
Nod sagely.
Part of you kind of worries they're laughing because, silly, you are the
You know, with what we've just seen, they would kind of be on point.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, a part of you. It does. At least the thought crosses your mind.
Well, if we move ahead a little bit further, we can move more steadily in the car on the road. We can at least go to another area that hasn't already been searched. If the Ravens decide to help us out, then that's great. If they don't, we'll at least be in an area that hasn't been searched yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Onward we go.
So you all load back up into the cart and get moving again. As you traverse down the road, there is more of a buildup of ravens once more. They return to their following, flying ahead, chattering, more showing up. You also notice the sky is shifting even more. The black expanse in between the celestial bodies is becoming less and less black and more of a myriad of colors. Instead of stars twinkling above, it is like supernovas that are bleeding across this canvas.
I mean, in a way, this is horrifically beautiful.
Yes, and in some of these places, what were celestial bodies are intermixing with these supernovas in strange swirls of color that seems to flare and shift and at some times you think you can peer eyes opening in these swirls. But then they just seem to be strange blots of color. Maybe your mind is playing tricks on you. Because in these swirls, you are continuously seeing things as your minds are trying to make sense of what you're seeing. Sometimes you think you see creatures in it. But it is, as far as you can tell, just swirls of color and light.
Erstyle makes notes in his notepad.
As you progress, the trees become sparser and sparser. And after a while, probably about 2 or 3 hours of traveling, you're not sure when it happened, but you're not surrounded by trees anymore. In fact, you're not even surrounded by snow. Taking in the surroundings, you can see bits of white that have intermixed with the canvas of the sky, and now the colors in the sky are bleeding in with the white, swirling all around you. And the only thing that seems constant at the moment is the road, yourselves, the cart, and this horse, and the ravens. But they're not landing on trees anymore. They are just fluttering as dark silhouettes against this rainbow canvas that is constantly shifting.
Erstyle looks down at his notes, looks back up, looks down
You
back at
notice in your notes there is about a paragraph of gibberish that you have been writing. Somewhere between you starting to take notes of what you were seeing and now, you have lost some sense of time.
I can't tell if we're moving into a different time of day or into a different region.
Why not both?
Potentially a different shard.
looks at notes, looks back up at the surroundings, looks back at notes. All these squares make a circle.
As you're continuing to travel down the road, you begin to hear howling, maybe a scream, singing at one point, voices talking, arguing, yelling, whispering, eyes occasionally peering at you from this canvas. And the ravens are utterly silent, but you know they're there because you still see their black silhouettes against all of these colors. And the road just kind of ends and the horse stops. You can see there is cobblestone that kind of trails off, but it's spaced. Like somebody took the road and stretched it, and there are just gaps of nothing between the rock, and you can see more of the canvas beneath it. And a little ways past it is just a door.
I assume the door is kind of standing in space and not like in a wall or anything.
Correct.
Do the ravens also kind of seem to stop their path at the door, or?
They definitely seem to be circling the area.
So this is concerning to everyone else, right?
Yeah,
All.
I haven't
It's
run
hard to say.
into anything concerning, frankly.
It's hard to say what's concerning when traveling the plains, to be honest.
Mm.
Not having any real experience with it, just theory and secondhand stories. I know a lot of things that we don't understand are to be expected, but I don't know exactly which of those things should put me on edge.
So, spooky door at the end of at the end of nothing.
Is there anything out beyond the door?
More of the canvas, but you don't see ground. You don't see really anything other than this constant shifting canvas. And out here now, you think you see things almost swimming in the color. Great serpents may be moving with the flow of the spiral.
That is trippy. This is the place of dreams, so I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is strange for McGuire or not. That said, Oh, one moment. I thought I had notes in one place and they're in a different. Sorry, someone can cut in. I'm waiting for something to load.
So let's ask the all pressing question here. Do we go to the door?
Do we have other options?
I could always turn back and I'll turn around and look at what's behind us.
The cobblestone road behind you seems to have disintegrated some 30 feet back. The rocks similarly have spread so far that there is no path anymore. Just occasional stones drifting away.
I do have a theory. Given the things on our short journey here from where we began in McGuire to where we are now, as things have remained strange but gotten strange in a different way. The environment is more abstract. I believe this door may lead to Astronaut, the outer realm. McGuire is a border between, along with the rest of the plains.
That is discomforting.
It is often described as the sparkling canvas or the astral sea. And I think what we're seeing here fits the description.
I mean, we can probably open the door without a worry, right? We just don't want to go through it then.
I mean, why not just move away from here?
Confirmation.
Well,
I am curious about what happens if we do back up, if the road will reform in front of us. I'll kind of tentatively step off the cart and take a few more steps back toward the direction we came from to see if the road reacts at all.
The road doesn't seem to
forward.
react. As you approach the stones that are drifting from behind, they actually look dusty, cracked, weathered, and old. And they are scattering off in various directions. Some are sinking below, some going up, some going off to the left and to the right, and at other strange angles. But the road does not reform when you try to go backwards.
Oh, okay. Is it gradually actually getting smaller as more stones spread out, or are they sort of suspended where they are?
So the stones that are spreading out are like continuing at a very slow pace to drift away.
Oh, okay.
What parts of the road are intact just seem old. And as you look back to the rest of the group, you've actually noticed the wheels on the cart have sprouted leaves.
Well, that's trippy.
Huh.
The
Stones looking like older versions of themselves would be one thing, but that isn't how wood decomposes. That doesn't just sprout. So maybe rather than a sort of relatively rapid aging, there's a bleeding of concepts.
As you all are standing there, you see more parts of the cart begin to sprout like leaves and such.
Yes.
And then some of those leaves begin to rapidly decay and then grow again and decay again. One of the wheels cracks and an axle breaks.
Leave.
Oh, is it dangerous to us?
I believe we're not being given an option.
You guys feel fine. However, the horse lets out a god-awful screech and drops to its knees, effectively. And you all turn to see it practically desiccating in fast forward over the course of several seconds.
Jesus.
Goodbye, Mr. Whiskers.
It pukes up some blood, and you actually, as it is actively like rotting away while still alive, you can already see mold taking form over large portions of it, and mushrooms grow and then die. And then a new colony of strange, like purple mushrooms taking over. And the horse just eventually just rots away into a skeleton. And when there's no like biological material left, the last of the mushrooms rot away. And this happens in the span of like 30 seconds.
Oh, goodbye, Mr. Whiskers.
Oh. Wow. That was dramatic.
Unfortunate.
Let's just try to move away from here.
I already tried that.
It's our style.
Unless you're planning on stepping out into the void, I think the door is our only feasible option.
Yep, our style is moving towards the door.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, door it
So you'll
is.
start moving. Parts of the cart begin to actually like turn to stone as if aging rapidly, just fossilizing on the spot.
Just
And
actually.
and as you move towards the door, parts of the road that were behind you slowly begin to like drift off into space, losing its solid form as the cobblestone breaks away. And to open this, well, I wouldn't say innocuous, wooden door. And as you open it, a vibrant red smoke billows out and engulfs you all.
Oh no.
And you move through this haze. You all can see each other, partially silhouetted, but you can see each other, and you move forward through this crimson haze. And you finally see a light. And you step out into a going to preface this by saying, obviously, your characters are not going to inherently understand what it is they're seeing, but I'm going to explain it in simple terms for your benefit. So you as players are not as confused as your characters are.
Cool.
Right.
Cool.
You step out into fluorescent lights. Aisle
Oh, no.
4, somewhat grungy. There are people standing around of various ancestries, some elves, dwarves, humans, a few halflings. All of them are dressed in various, clothes you wouldn't necessarily recognize, but button-ups, some wearing suits, some carrying briefcases. And there are weird signs hanging from the ceiling, flashing with lights and words, along with times, the current date, but the date makes no sense to you. And there is a figure that kind of sticks out amongst the rest, standing at a ledge that drops off into some kind of track. And this figure is dressed in a bright red suit, black shirt, white tie. They have literally porcelain white skin, but it doesn't look like skin. It looks like almost living porcelain. And their head, you see a neck, but you don't see the back of their head. Instead, you see billowing red smoke. And as you approach, you can see they have some of a face, but everything above the nose is just smoke. And out of this smoke, they still seem to just turn and look at you and gesture for you to come closer with a wave of the hand.
First, I will take tentative steps.
Sveta will approach. As far as she can see, we don't have other options, so.
Oak will approach, but is kind
What
of
in the hell have we walked into?
flabbergasted by everything around him.
Honestly, I've stopped trying to figure that out a little while ago. At this point, it's like ride the wave.
As you all move through, you do notice the other people here don't look at you. They don't seem to notice you. Because you definitely stick out. You're definitely strange compared to the rest of the surroundings. And this figure, as you approach, you kind of join him sort of at this ledge. You looking over into it, you see some kind of track that comes from a tunnel and goes down into another tunnel. You occasionally hear voices, but they're so garbled it's difficult to understand what they're even saying. Somebody nearby this ledge is standing there holding some large sheet of paper with printed words of different sort of headlines you don't really recognize, completely oblivious to the strangeness of what's going on here.
Are we able to read the language? Is it a language we recognize?
It's a language you recognize. It's just that the headlines mean nothing to you.
Gotcha.
Something about something called a president and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, there was a robbery the other day. And yeah, it's all just meaningless stuff. The figure kind of has his porcelain hands sort of clasped together in front of him as he's standing there. And he speaks, and when his mouth opens, you can see this red smoke that is like billowing up through his throat and out the top of, what would be his head. You're not really sure if you could call it a head at this point. It's mostly like the frame of a face, kind of.
So we're standing at a top of the ledge that's level with the room we entered in, and then it looks out over the tunnels you were talking about?
No, you're effectively in a subway station, standing
Oh, I see.
at the line, waiting for the train to arrive.
Gotcha.
Well, you all are determined to just do things your own way, aren't you?
We're trying.
Oh, by all
We-
means, continue to try.
We haven't exactly done this before.
By any chance, you aren't the Red Raven, are you?
Been called a lot of things.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll process that. Just,
You know,
By all means, take your time. He lifts one of his hands, and the sleeve of his red suit slides up, and there's actually like it looks like a extremely fancy timepiece to you. It is not a clockwork machine that you're familiar with. And you can see like the hands on it are spinning wildly with reckless abandon. And there's like 5 extra hands, as well as other symbols you don't recognize on the face of it.
Are there
Time.
Is there another path you expected us to be following?
Expected. That's a strong word. I don't really expect things. I have my predictions. I try not to think about it too much. After all, what's the fun if it's all scripted?
I mean, I suppose that is an attitude.
Fair enough.
Although, taking on the first beast, well, it was certainly brave. Certainly.
we call it what it is, foolish.
We were just trying, you know. We thought it was. We thought we were being held hostage.
Don't misunderstand. I approve.
Oh. Okay.
Found it very amusing.
Do you not like the Gorath?
I think Gorath is a joy.
So you too like Gorath.
My opinion doesn't really matter in regards to all of this. But I will tell you this. I think I made a mighty fine choice throwing that little chinique at you way back then to test your mettle.
That was the thing
Definitely
that
worked.
stole my soul.
Yes.
And
And look at you all now. What a fine cut of cloth you all are. Sure, you stumbled a little bit. But it's not over yet.
I hope not.
So,
Are you saying your fate?
That's no. It's I can see how you might come to such a conclusion, but well, I'll spare you the explanation of fate.
not that I'm complaining about having access to mythic abilities, but what is it all for anyway? The way you talk about it this certainly isn't the first time, and the way Gorath talked about it as well.
Oh, come on. Y'all are clever. You haven't put that together yet?
That we're
We're
pawns in some
the
greater
one-
game.
Pawns, in some degrees. Implying that you're my pawns. I would say no. I'm not controlling you if that's what you think. Your will is your own.
No, you're just
Free to do what you want.
we're put in positions where we're expected to act certain.
Oh, certainly. That little scheme Hetyer pulled. That was clever. I have to give the man credit where credit is due.
You mean sending us to get killed?
It was quite devious. But I applaud him. It was
Oh my god, head here
That was a
actually
nice little
sent us
trick.
to get killed.
I mean,
Can I
If you think about
retroactively
it-
revoke my faith? I'm feeling like that right now.
if you think about it, if you give one of your worshippers a message that at a time in the future you will see again, and you'll know that now it's your time and purpose to do something, you really don't have to have a plan at the time for what that situation will be.
Yeah, that crossbow's loaded. Just up to you
can
when you
use that
fire it.
for anything you want, even if you could never use that if you wanted to. What are they going to do?
Why?
why did Hetyer give you that vision?
What's the
There's
purpose
a
of?
porcelain smile.
I'm just trying to understand. If him and Gorath are at odds, why push to have so many people that are faithful to him die?
No, come on now. You're a clever lot. You really haven't pieced this together yet? I mean,
No.
I think
I'm
sure.
I haven't even.
Being stuck there on Ahios, you had limited information, but travel into that depressing pit of Zidane, so many hopes and dreams are crushed. What that little, what did they call it? Servant? That little animated thing. I mean, that thing gave you some information, right?
I mean,
Sure.
Based on the situations we've been in so far and the information we've been given, and at least about what's going on with the gods and the planes, and information about yourself, or at least what the gods assume about you, I think it's likely, or at least a reasonable guess, that we are in some way involved in the cycle continuing as it has before.
We're the heralds of the end.
Ooh, I like that. He'll point a porcelain finger at you, Sveta. That's delightfully dramatic.
That does sound pretty good.
We're the hero. We are the people who are going to bring about the end of this age.
If that's what you want to think, by all means.
If that is the case, then that would mean Hetyer, based on his history, wanted to be rid of us so that he could continue existing,
Oh yeah.
Might it be more like that?
as he has before.
Might it be more
I
like
knew
we have
it.
the potential to be so?
I knew at the moment we met
Yeah.
you, this is what this was going to culminate to. I wouldn't have guessed that before we came here, but the moment we saw you, the moment you confirmed who you were.
Well,
And my theory hasn't been
Okay.
confirmed, really.
you said our choices matter,
Of course.
and
If you want to
it-
be heralds of the end, then by all means, end it. Do what you have to do. Bring the cycle to an end. But
I don't know what I want yet.
like I said, your understanding of fate is so rigid.
I just
To be fair,
like
we are
that.
lacking a lot of context to things.
Being traps and
I'm not.
does limit our information, as you said.
No, sweet little children. I'm not blaming you for your ignorance. It's okay. But I'd rather not spend, well, your entire lives trying to indicate the finer points that constitute the force that you refer to as fate.
So, Headgear wants us dead because you marked us, essentially.
Oh, in a sense, yes. To say I marked you is, well, fate is a tricky thing. I certainly did call some special attention to you, but how much of it can be said that it was fate that had made that choice? Would I have always made that choice? Or would I have made another choice had something else occurred? Had you in fact died in the attack at Violet Maple? Maybe somebody else would have been at that fort in your place. Maybe fate dictated that whoever arrived at that fort at that time would be who I selected. Maybe I did specifically choose you. But it's not that I chose you. Why Year's ire came down on you. No, I'll give you this. I'll give you this freebie since I see it weighing so heavily on you, child. He saw that you had that mythic touch, that edge, the lot of you. And not only that, you had that edge and you had a position of power. Sure. Could he have bided his time for a better moment? Absolutely. But, like I said, I have to give him credit. He saw an opportunity. You were very adamant that Goreth was an enemy, and you were not ready to fight such a thing, and he saw an opportunity to snuff out a potential problem. Because he knows the time is coming again. As you all have stated, the cycle has attempted to occur multiple times now, and a promise was made. And now he is, I wouldn't say desperate, perhaps eager to snuff out potential problems before they can become problems. So he's following the strands of fate, finding those individuals that stand out, and when one of those individuals happened to be a follower of his and in charge, well,
Ooh.
and
I suppose that made it
that
easier.
weed.
How many others have there been?
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Were we sitting down anywhere? Like, I don't remember if we.
Oh no, you're still standing here.
Cool. Everyone would note that Tilk is red in the face with rage. He is.
I get the feeling you want to sit down. So here, he'll snap his fingers and you'll see like everything speeds up for a moment, and suddenly there is like this metal tube that pulls in ahead of you, and a pair of doors open, and he leads you into this train and gestures for you all to take a seat. Curiously, nobody else enters this train car. Just the 6 of you.
Oh, all right then.
First,
This is
I'll stand.
an interesting mode of conveyance?
What form of magic propels this thing?
Maybe if you play your cards right, you can see it come about. Or maybe you'll see the first iterations of it in your world.
Oh.
Hopefully. About the cycle, the promise that was made, etc. What exactly is it for? The world comes to be in some way, and then it comes undone and it starts over again, near as I can tell. To what end, though? Or lack thereof? Given
Well,
that
isn't that a great mystery? Why does anything come to be? Why do the trees grow just to wither and die? Why are people born just to breed and make more just to wither and die?
Because it's the journey, not the end.
No, certainly. Part of it.
Goreth and some other entities have said that the Red Raven always wins. I don't know if that's true or not, but what does winning look like for you, if you don't mind me asking?
It's hard to quantify it as winning when, as I quote, the Red Raven always wins. Is it really winning if you know you're going to be right in the end? It's more, at least from my perspective, speaking a truth into the world. When Hetyer came to his position, I told him the time will come where your time must end. It's the cycle of things. Very few things get to be forever. Very, very few. Especially in the manner of gods. Gods die all the time. It's not unique. It's just another step in the process. Granted, he was a little sore about that. Not that I could blame him. He is only a god after all. The determination he has to prove me wrong, to win, certainly is something. I will say he has put up more of a fight than others.
Is he always a god?
Maybe in his own mind. No, he was very much once upon a time quite, well, dare I say, and he, once again, a porcelain smile, was quite as fragile as you were once upon a time.
So one can ascend to godhood.
Of course. Anybody can become a god. I guess you wouldn't know that.
Put that on a poster and frame it in your office. Anybody can become a god.
Oh, we have stories of someone who did.
I suspect the idea of that has probably been kept away from mortals like you.
That doesn't seem like something you would want to tell anyone.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. If you knew, if you only knew. But I shouldn't tell too much. That would ruin the fun.
Everyone doesn't want rivals.
I tell you this, if you knew the things that he did to become what he is, everything leading up to now would be of no shock.
It already wasn't as much of a shock as it should have been.
I'm running out of shock.
Which is why I tell you this now, because things are becoming clearer to you, and I don't mind sharing these little tidbits. He will stop at nothing. Keep his place.
So if gods are one thing, what does that make you?
I don't kiss and tell. I don't kiss.
Probably one of the constants that the gods envy.
Are all the current gods in our pantheon, just for simplicity's sake, individuals that ascended?
Some of them, for sure. Not all of them.
So
there was the one, Zenera, goddess of creation and artifice. There are stories of her. So it is clearly unheard of among us, but certainly not common.
Yes, I remember when that happened.
It's an interesting just concept, because Petyer ascended to godhood. I imagine those with close relation to him, either his son, the only name that we have is Traitor Mortal, and
you think the Traitor Mortal was his son? Interesting.
Well, there's another thing blown out of the water.
Is that something we were told? I, out of character, don't remember.
I think that's
never been said.
Well, that's an assumption.
It is an assumption.
Okay.
Then I can assume, because of their ties, Petyer and Alexandros knew each other, and then came up with a whole creation myth.
Knew each other is a bit of a strong word. Suppose I could peel back that little bit for you. That wouldn't be too terrible. Let's see. Let me put it this way. Before their divinity, they did not know each other. They came from very different worlds, very different backgrounds, and very different circumstances for their ascension.
I suppose that makes sense given their domains.
And their seemingly opposition in domains leads me to assume that they got their one by taking, the other by fostering.
He shrugs. Who could say?
I feel like you could, but again, you are having your fun.
Just another porcelain smile.
Are they like perfect teeth, or?
There are no teeth. When like the mouth opens, it's just the roiling red smoke.
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
You know, like you do.
Yeah.
Like if you play Magic the Gathering, think of Ashiok.
That's why I went to
Black smoke. It's red.
I hate it.
And he's in a suit. He's
I hate
in a red
it.
suit.
So out of character, I LARP with one of the other player characters in LARP I play in is someone who wears a red suit. That's like the only time I've seen someone wear one in person, so that's just like where my brain went instantly, but it's adjusted a bit after the description of the face and stuff.
Yeah.
I have one other major question, and I apologize if I'm dominating the conversation. What exactly was the promise that was made? Was it just that Hetbier's time, possibly the other gods, would come to an end? Or the time of the world Hezarona and or its shards, as we know it, would come to an end, including the
cycle
gods?
would come to an end, which would include at year's end the current, I suppose you could say, pantheon, the world as it is.
What about the people who live on it?
He shrugs again with another porcelain smile.
Who could say?
Are we, I guess, in a weird way, too insignificant to factor into that?
Or rather, it is possible that, depending on how we go about it,
I mean, to say that we live such short lives that a grand end means very little to us indeed.
Well, regardless, if a promise of the end of mortals hasn't been made and doesn't need to be honored, then I think I can work with that at least.
Well, look at you all with your little listening skills. Fate is a capricious thing, and as I said, I don't make promises or I don't win. I speak truths. At no point, as you have observed, has my truth included the necessary end of mortal lives, just the end of the world as it is.
Interesting.
I suppose that
what we know as Aldfair and the kingdom.
ended.
Well,
I
even
guess-
that is
Is
They
the
were-
the lich, the undead, is that a factor of your? I suppose I should assume it is, but it seems weird if you've chosen us to be heralds of the end, or at least be the trigger that then exists.
Yes. The traitor mortal.
they're really good at filling that role if you're looking for something for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was the first hope to play out the part. But alas, I have to hand it to him. Hetyear proved to be a little more clever than I gave him credit for, which shouldn't be surprising after everything he did to get to where he is, but I digress. He handled that fairly well, although his choices certainly left their mark on the, well, what you would call the cosmos.
He did shatter the world in the process, if the information we have is to be believed.
Oh, yes. I saw that coming a million miles away. I mean, I see everything coming, but it was certainly a move. I mean, he went in thinking he could have just one world and have it be paradise. Get real. You can't have paradise and people. That's a joke. It's just not how it works. A universal constant, if you will.
So he got greedy.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. One of the greatest.
Sounds like another universal constant.
Once again, not that I blame him. After all,
Oh, yeah.
he's a god, big, strong man. Reached out and grabbed his ascension by the horns.
Seems like someone so.
Kind of hard for creatures like you to not let it go to the head a little bit.
Mm.
I don't know, it seems like someone so clever and powerful could find a way to maintain their life without it being at the expense of everyone else. But what do I know?
Yes, well, regardless to your point, yes, the Traitor Mortal still has a part to play in all of this, albeit a shadow of what they once were. Unfortunately,
They must have been a lot.
them, a shadow they must remain, at least until the promise is fulfilled.
Interesting.
Let me be very blunt here. How would one go about killing a god?
Yeah, that didn't work very well the first time. But if we can figure out a better way.
First of all,
Well, I don't want to.
obviously, you all need to be much more stronger than you are now. But yes, it is very possible. Gods die all the time. Actually, you know what? This is getting a little stuffy. You feel the train has been moving all this time, but it comes to a stop. And what was the darkness surrounding the train is gone now, and you see a greater cosmos outside the windows of the train. And you can see kind of stars winking out and stars reappearing. And you see it is currently just the train car that you are in. The rest of the train isn't there anymore. And suddenly everything zooms in, and you can see this tapestry, and these spheres that are suspended in the darkness. One looking blue and green and brown. It's like with clouds hovering over its landscape and such, but you can see there are other bodies kind of surrounding it, above it, circling it, below it, with darkness filling the spaces between. This is where you call home, or at least you should call home. This is your cosmos, well, I refer to it as your tapestry, but you don't need to be as artsy as I am. And it suddenly zooms out, and it is just a speck of light in the far distance. And you can see a writhing mass of colors and things moving in those colors. And once again, you see eyes occasionally peering back out at you through the color that is shifting and swirling. But you don't hear the voices and the sounds here. It's quiet here. But amongst all of this color and chaos, you can still make out the pinprick of light that is where you're from, and amongst the rest of the color, countless other pinpricks of light. And as you're watching, some of them wink out, and in other places, new ones appear.
So there are more.
For your smaller minds, beyond counting. But your tapestry is just as real as any other one. And every moment, somewhere else, a god is dying. If not many. There are some where it's all gods. Just all gods. At least what you would call a god. They don't really call themselves gods at that point. It's anyways.
So what is here? Like, what was the weird tube? Snake?
Oh. He
Is that
snaps
just-
his finger and you're back in the tunnel again.
Yeah,
And the
this.
train is moving along. Well, as I said, I don't really always win, I just speak truths. It's very simple. Let me show you something. Again, he snaps his fingers, and you are standing at a dock. Not just any dock, a familiar dock.
I stumble a bit from suddenly being standing. And
You are standing at the docks of Adax, where you fled. But it's not as you remember it. The ships that are
Fire.
docked here are made of metal.
Oh.
And there is noise everywhere, yelling, shouting, and there is screeching noises coming from the sky above. And as you look up, you see metallic things soaring through the sky with repeating sounds of something you're not even sure you recognize. It's almost like fucking if a crossbow was on repeat, but just so much louder.
ah,
A jackhammer.
And screams of what you wouldn't recognize, but as of engines overhead, and the sounds of cannons going off. And the people that are running around are dressed strangely. And he gestures to the surroundings. As I said, fate is not so easily understood for you mortals. The same thing can be said about time and space. You have concepts and graspings. But this is a time that is just as real, a time and space, and fate that is just as real as any other until it is not possible. For example, he snaps his fingers again, and you're in the same place, but it's in ruins, and there are bodies everywhere. And what corpses you see are moving of some commanded will. And in the distance, you can see ships sailing away. They're all happening at once. He kind of waves to the ships in the distance, and you can make out tiny silhouettes of ravens following them off.
so rather than there being
all different versions of
yeah,
the world.
no one singular direct timeline, more like a root system branching infinite times.
I would start
I'm
knew anything before all of this started happening, and now I just know I know literally less than nothing.
I'm doing my best not to shatter your perceptions of reality, but there are no timelines. This is happening right now.
Oh, I know it isn't something that can be easily visualized from our perspective, but
Yes, all of this is occurring at once.
I believe I understand what you mean.
as much as we can understand about this.
All of wibbly wimey, timey wimey.
Most people think of time as a straight
Very
line
well
from
put.
cause to effect.
Silk is at this point crouching, just staring, like wide-eyed into the ground. He's not doing hot.
Yeah.
Or any of them.
The Forgotten One, the Red Raven, however it is you wish to refer to him, he weaves his fingers together. Assuming things move a certain way, people are in the right places at the right time, make the right decisions at the appointed hours, choose certain signs, what constitutes the true reality, as a mortal might put it, changes. And with your particular position and potential, he shrugs. Who can say?
Sorry,
Perhaps.
I heard that from some unexpected computer sound.
Yeah. Perhaps, and once again, you're seeing that vision of like warplanes and warships and such version of ADAX. Instead of this, you have this, and there is a shift, and ADAX has completely changed. It is glass and shining and busy but quiet overall, and generally beautiful. And there is a piece there and all kinds of weird sorts of technologies you're not really sure you understand or could even begin to grasp at. Or maybe you decide things should be another way, and then everything is just black. And it's just all of you standing there in the darkness.
Mr. Burns, I want
Maybe
off
the
this wild ride.
Maybe the tapestry needs to be wiped clean. Have a fresh start. Which is totally valid. That's what typically happens, after all.
What
No
exactly is
pressure.
it that causes it to come about again after the fact?
The will to do such a thing. That's what Hetye did. Hetye wasn't from your world.
So he was
It's from
immortal
another.
from the previous one,
Yeah,
or a different one.
I would say a different one, but I guess it's a matter of perspective. It's technically in the same metaphysical space. But regardless, he hit the switch. Sorry, maybe that's not as clear to you what that means. He tore it all down. Started again. Tried to build his paradise.
So that's what you meant.
I told him it wasn't going to work. But, what do I know?
Is that what you meant by the things he had done before?
No.
Oh.
Like I said, starting over, very common. Most who become gods have a new vision for what they want the world to look like, how it should be like. The hubris of mortals.
Are the ones who become gods usually the ones who are in a situation like ours?
Oftentimes, yes. Almost exclusively.
Almost.
Do they?
Takes a certain willpower, as well as being in the right place at the right time.
What if some of them didn't want to become gods?
They could choose oblivion. As I said, your choices are yours to make.
Is that the only other choice?
As I said, the choices are yours to make.
I suppose the possibilities are as infinite as our situations.
I will say this. At the end of the line, when you have, well, as near to infinite power as creatures such as you can grasp, what exactly choice means becomes wider.
I have a slightly unrelated question to the string of brain crushing logic that we've been following. Did you have a hand in us coming back from purgatory?
Oh, no. That had nothing to do with me. Although I was aware of it. Very, very clever planning on their part. Very, very clever. Requires a degree of foresight Hetyer wish he had.
I'll say 1,000 years plus in the making.
Oh, yes. She was a clever woman, that's why she had to die. I'm sure you understand.
Did Hetyer kill her?
Oh, of course. Are you kidding me? Look to the extent he went to kill the 5 of you.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
Which, mind you, killing her was no small feat. Gods die all the time, but killing a god is, well, it takes work.
Killing a god of death doesn't seem easy either.
Yes, I suppose so.
Yes. She was certainly shaping up to be that.
Well, she got shaped up into that after the fact, in a sense.
Yes.
And now her fragments make up our hells.
Oh, yes. Trust me, the irony is not lost on me. That's
Probably not lost on Hetyer either.
oh, I think he's still a little sore about that one between you and me.
You know, about her not completely going away when he wanted her to.
Oh, certainly. Like I said, killing gods happens, but it's hard work.
Getting rid of
He
things.
thought he did it. He thought he got away with it. But, you know.
Then is there a chance that she may come back?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, well. I really
Probably
shouldn't be
not
one to tell you
anyway.
something is impossible, but as she was, certainly not.
Okay.
Well, if time
One
is all
universe-
happening at once.
One
I'm not
universal
sure.
constant is that nothing ever remains the same.
Yes. This has been a lot to wrap my head around.
I have noticed, though, that Hetyer does seem to have a pretty common method for dealing with things he sees as problematic. That being, if he can't kill them, shoving them away and making sure everyone else forgets about them. You aren't the only one referred to as the Forgotten One on our world. Seems to be a lot of things. From the Traitor Mortal to Goreth, probably a lot of other things, or a lot of other entities that we've never actually heard of at all.
I wonder. Did you know the Traitor Mortal's name?
Yes.
Could you attempt to say it?
I don't need to attempt.
Is it going to be a problem for us if we hear it? I think is the more important
The
question.
unfortunate part is once you return home, you won't remember what I said.
Oh,
I see.
I am not as what one would call an interventionist. So while I could make it so you remembered, I'm not going to do that because where's the fun in that?
it may make things more exciting.
Eh, more I was.
I think I prefer you in the dark a little bit.
I
As
mean-
much as I've been helping explain some things for you.
Well, I tried.
Eh,
You certainly did. And his porcelain hands clap very lightly. And it sounds like porcelain.
oh,
Honestly, I would think that was condescending if it weren't someone who unfathomably more omnipotent and powerful than me.
That is certainly a way of putting it.
was just curious if we'd be able to hear it and or remember it, but
Mm.
since
Is there
we are,
something else? Oh, I'm sorry.
I
since-
swear if the
yeah.
traitor mortal's name is Tilk,
Well, we know that's not the case because we can say my name. Us
Yes.
saying we can't. I was only able to refer to him as redacted to servant.
True.
Is there something else you would
What's with
prefer to be called?
the how did you know that my name thing dream you had a while back?
I have no idea. What were you saying, Liana?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your question is probably more important than mine.
Oh, I have thoughts, but again, our friend here probably was more interested in us figuring out a number of these things on our own.
Ways for you to
Wait.
ask a question. I just may not give you an answer.
Now I have another question.
I guess that's true.
You referred to some answers as freebies, but we're not going to remember this. So how are they freebies?
I didn't say you weren't going to do this.
No, we just don't remember the traitor mortal's name.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying we won't remember this meeting. I was
Yes, Hetyear has twisted a little bit of some magic to censor the traitor mortal's name. I can override such a thing, but that's not fun.
Probably
So
throw
I'm going to-
Headgear into a bit of a fit anyway.
he's likely to just strike us with lightning the moment that we get back.
Don't get me wrong, I love to see him all worked up, but it's not my style.
It's actually stopping him from striking us with lightning anyway.
Gods are not as omnipotent as you think they are. They can be distracted, their attentions can be elsewhere, especially in the way that your tapestry has been woven. A god cannot be all knowing and all perceiving, not at least the gods as you know them.
But even back before when the last time we were there, he got us killed instead of just doing it himself. And he was aware of us, obviously, since he did that.
Let me put it this way. What you perceive as a god, I perceive as a particularly uppity mage. With how your tapestry has been woven, slinging such magic across the, what did he call them? Realms? Yes. Slinging such magic across the realms is a challenge for any god. The mortal realm has been separated for reasons and is particularly difficult to reach across for reasons.
So it isn't just devils and demons who have trouble.
Oh no.
Hmm.
Tell me, how often do you have elementals just randomly appearing and divine acts of miracles coming down from the very heavens? When was the last time you saw an angel?
I suppose I always thought that was because gods were hands off.
To be honest, I assumed they were stringing us along.
The answer to the angel question depends on your definition of angel.
Just speaking
I
of,
suppose that's a fair question because I know the answer to my own question, so I'll let that one go.
speaking of creatures from non-mortal planes, there isn't exactly a solid theory or a singular solid theory or explanation on where exactly devils and demons came from.
Correct.
Are they at least not on eyes? Hmm.
From your time, there is not a solid understanding. You will be correct in that.
Yeah, they, well, at least one of them existed before the Hells existed, back on Hezarona.
Given everything
Yes.
we've learned, I wonder if it's just people from alternate eventualities.
No.
Well, there goes my thought. I'm at this point. I'm just grasping at the weirdest things I can think of, and it's not uncommon to be true.
There is a reason why mortals fold in on themselves when they try to cross time on their own. I mean,
Reasons for that.
mortals running around from futures and pasts, essentially maybes and may nots. It's messy business.
I imagine so.
It's so he kind of wiggles his fingers and waves his hand away. Better that way.
So I won't do that one.
Oh, speaking of old men, you haven't seen one floating around here, have you?
I'll leave that a mystery for you to discover in your own time.
Well, now I'm inclined to think he definitely isn't dead.
Think what you will. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you everything just because you asked.
Um, as far as the fiendish origin story goes, though, we sort of have one for angels, where apparently they're Nephilim who sided with Hetir and now live in his realm. But as I said, devils, yeah, at least devils, maybe demons. I would need to look that one up again. Existed before the Shattering and weren't simply Nephilim, though they might have been.
I
Is that
believe.
something you'd be willing to talk about? Oh, sorry.
Oh, good.
I think the question you need to be asking is if the angels are the Nephilim that sided with Hetir, what are the Nephilim?
The Nephilim are the first people.
Are they? How would you like to define people?
I mean, that's what Servant told us.
He did in fact say that, yes.
His understanding could be flawed.
Could be.
Can I?
The information we were given was that all of the rest of them were destroyed. But maybe the term Nephilim simply encompasses more than a single kind of person.
Maybe.
Can I ask?
He will look to Brandon.
Why? Why one is bound to me?
Are you asking why a Nephilim is bound to you?
A Nephilim or an angel. I'm not quite sure. I'm still piecing that together. I believe you showed me a dream, and
I'm just making sure that's what you're referring to, and
Yeah.
like not being an Asimar. Okay.
no.
Okay, cool. I understand. Isn't that a curious little mystery? Whatever could it mean?
All I know is that he doesn't like my name, which is unfortunate because we're both stuck with
I
it.
wouldn't say that.
He seemed to react pretty negatively to it.
So you see, I will tell you this. What you saw and what he saw, or rather what he didn't see, may not necessarily make a clear picture.
What he saw was different from what you were looking at. Maybe it is a future you, Tilk.
I really hope not. Do you have
At
alcohol?
this point,
Do I have to re-explain you mortals are not allowed to time travel?
well,
Or
maybe
should I just spaghetti you right now?
No. Tilk hasn't time
That's
traveled
spaghetti.
yet. He just will, and it causes that.
I don't like that.
Well, I hope not. Didn't you say the figure you saw was present or something?
They were, and also much larger than me, roughly the size of the Nephilim.
Isn't that just curious? So I ask again, are the Nephilim?
Precursors to us. Could potentially be my great grandpappy.
So if they're the precursors to you, who's the precursors to them?
A
Possibly the
migraine.
gods themselves. I'm not sure.
He wiggles a porcelain finger.
Either people from the previous cycle or gods. Gods made them, or I don't know.
Oh, the gods made it. He definitely made them.
Made them the more traditional way as we mortals would know it, it sounds like.
There you go. Now you're getting it.
So when a god and another god have a child, it doesn't necessarily make another god.
Does. It certainly does, at least in your tapestry. But it, well, kind of wears thin a little bit over time. There can only be so much divine power in the world after all. Only so many people get to shape reality at a time. There's only so much to go around. So, eventually, even immortality is not guaranteed.
Hmm.
Seems like some of them have it, or at least live a very, very long time in my many times great grandfather's case.
He's not a Nephilim.
Mm.
As you'll recall, Goreth knew him
Yes.
personally. I will give you that much. But I think I want to leave the rest of that mystery for you to find out. Maybe Grandpa Cassilian will tell you where he came from. I'm very curious to see what his next move is going to be.
I'm not counting on a direct answer.
Neither should you. He's a devil after all.
Yeah,
The other worlds, the one we just walked through, this one, etc. Very before everything shattered. Were they here before everything shattered?
The Nephilim?
No, the world that we are currently, or like the world we were
Afterworld?
walking through, the Outer Wilds, etc. That weird Nexus place.
That's something I was wondering about too, whether the folk were from our tapestry or maybe somewhere else.
Yeah.
The folk are, well, they're a little bit of something else. I'll tell you this. The folk are a constant. They exist in different forms. But every tapestry has their version of them, always existing at the boundary between, well, the boundary that separates the tapestry from, I'll just call it chaos.
Works well enough.
That is the best way to explain it to you. To me, it's not, but, to be honest, your mortal minds cannot comprehend it in the way that I do.
Doesn't sound like the gods can comprehend it very well from what we hear about how they interact with it.
Could they? They're just as limited as you are. Sure, they have more power. They seem all powerful to you, anyways. But at the end of the day, they are things that exist within the tapestry. Only the folk get to kind of walk in between. And even to them, the chaos is hostile. Because they require a degree of grounding that only mortals can provide. Otherwise, they rejoin the chaos and they dissolve as individual things.
Do they need something to define them?
Yes. Think of them as this way. They are little pieces of the chaos given a framework to exist by. It is mortal dreams that give them their shapes. The folk of your tapestry may be entirely different from the folk of another tapestry, but at the end of the day, they function very much in the same ways.
It did seem that the realm they lived in shaped itself in much the same way. It moved and changed in a way around us that was, for lack of a better term, narratively appropriate to our circumstances.
In the same way that you dream, yes. However, I will say, nearing the end of your little adventure, when the ravens started showing up, you were actually doing a very risky thing. You didn't realize it, but you were reaching the borders, the northern border of Magyar, where Magyar ends and chaos begins.
Oh.
Moving
But lucky
outward,
for you, I'm always watching.
Because you are omnipotent.
relatively at least.
Omnipotent would be the best way of putting it. But if you want the more defined answer, I am able to be watching all the time, even when I am not.
That seems contradictory. But again, pretty much as expected.
Let me
Well,
put
then you
it
don't
this
have to
way.
worry about only being
There
in
is-
time at a time.
Let me put it this way. A door appears in the darkness that you're in, and it opens, and another copy of him shows up. And then another climbs up over a ledge just in the darkness. You don't see a ledge there, but he climbs up if there's a ledge.
Okay.
And one of the other ones speaks. I am across time and space as a constant in and of myself. Am I before him? And he points to another one, and that one points to the other. Or am I before him, and he's before him, and he's after him, and I'm after him? They all shrug.
Before and after don't exactly hold the same meaning in this context.
Oh, just sits down.
Zeta also sits down.
Just steam coming out of his ears.
The other two will leave with a nod, and the original one that you've been talking to simply says, I am that I am.
Okay.
Suppose much like
What about
before and after as concepts, the word, the omni part of omnipotent would depend on the definition of everything.
are elementals formed from chaos too, or are they something different entirely? Also, are dragons?
Tapestries are formed of raw energy, given shape by the ones who shape it. Those raw energies almost always take the form of what you would recognize as the elemental forces.
I see.
The elementals are remnants of will lingering as part of that process. You can destroy an elemental's form, but it never truly dies. That will just cycles back.
Right. You said you don't take a rather observer stance normally, but this is you stepping in even little, isn't it?
Not really. I am sure to you it certainly seems like I am intervening. But the truth of the matter is this conversation was always going to happen. It always has, always will.
Have we been here before? Or
as much as you can understand before, technically, yes. You've been here before. You'll also be here tomorrow. And the day after. And even a decade from now, you'll be here.
So you're going to have to repeat this conversation several times.
I already have.
I might understand.
I currently am.
Several.
Well, at least you have time.
Silk,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for not going to church. This is all a lot more complicated and complex than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought magic would be more interesting. And this is melting my brain. So you know what? I apologize.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this.
Skill issue.
Magic could be a lot more interesting.
Seems like it was
you're to
before.
blame for that.
Here, took the world apart.
Oh yes.
I'm beginning to think that if something bad happened, it's Hedgehir's fault. Just as a standard somehow.
I like that energy.
you stub our toe, it's Heather's
I
fault.
mean, given the position he put himself in relation to our tapestry, it is statistically likely that when something on a large planar scale goes wrong, it has something to do with him.
Definitely seems to be a root cause.
A running theme, if nothing else.
I will tell you this. Whether or not Hetyer is at fault. This process would be happening. The form it would take might be different. But regardless, the cycle continues.
The ending of the gods and the environment they live in would still be true.
It's a constant. It has to happen.
How do we get out of here?
How do we get back to Paparo?
Well, I can put you back into Magire near the border, or I can put you somewhere else. Although I won't guarantee I will put you back in your cozy little settlement. After all, I don't really like to intervene, but this was going to happen anyways, so I might as well make things interesting. So, your choice, any realm, wherever you want to go, and I will take you there. And you see, obviously, characters don't know what it is, but a car pulls up in the darkness.
Just by the.
Is it a cab?
That's weird.
There are two.
I guess to
you
stop.
could say it's a cab, yeah.
Unnecessarily suicidal. Is there any chance that we're able to mend things with Gorath?
I understand some of my explanations of things may be confusing, so I will give you a more direct answer on this. Every possible choice, variation, consequence, result can, has, and will occur.
So we have not collapsed or removed that possibility, result, consequence.
Not until Gorath is dead, you have not. Technically, no chain of events is impossible until a key piece required for it is gone. Making amends with Gorath is something that can essentially be done up until he is dead, or you so utterly ruin any potential redemption of that relationship.
I guess I more mean to ask, is that a reasonable possibility? I would hate to end up back in purgatory and for it all to have been a waste.
Yeah, he shrugs. Who can say?
That would be really embarrassing.
I guess you're just going to have to try and see what happens.
I imagine he'd be surprised to at least see us again.
Maybe. You just have to find out.
Maybe your sword is still there too.
It's
his.
Don't know if I want it.
That's fair.
That sword comes with some baggage.
At least emotionally. I don't know if it's necessarily connected to Hetyer or anything. Speaking of that, is Gorath's realm part of another realm, or is his cave just a demi-plane of its own, disconnected from everything else?
He's not in his own realm. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, he's imprisoned where he is right now.
Yeah.
Technically, in the same sense that all of the gods are, in a sense, imprisoned, at least unable to visit the mortal realm.
Okay.
Mhm. Is it that the space he is in only has the mortal realm as a border that prevents him from leaving?
No. He is bound by Heir's magic. He can only exist within the realm that he's in. He cannot leave it.
That's a bit more
What
direct.
realm that is, I will leave up to you to find out. I believe you have the clues you need, but
I had
I'm
originally
not going to
suspected.
explain it.
I had originally suspected he was in Nominar, but we didn't have the chance to fully investigate.
And maybe that chance will arise.
That sense of decay certainly is notable in there.
I can't imagine the ventilation is very good.
That's a good point.
Well, there's 1,000 modes of questions, but we won't probably get a lot of answers here. We will have to find out many of them on our own. Should we just head back to our reality? Well,
I think I would be more comfortable now on our plane of existence, even if the chances that we're not able to be at our settlement.
we can probably find our way back eventually, unless you put us on the other side of the world.
Just don't put us anywhere near those Dominion assholes. Although, if there is a chance socially to mend things with Gorath, just going back to where we last saw him would be an option.
I would like to mend things with Gorath.
I very much don't appreciate the curse. Still.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't either.
Oh, well, I have some bad news for you in that regard. But you'll see.
Oh, is it still going to be a problem?
Let's see. Where do I want to put you?
How long has it
Are you
been, anyway?
really? Are you really sold on going back to Ios? Are you sure you don't want to go somewhere else? Maybe you want to go caving in the depths of Geogroxis, or maybe visit the beaches of Hydroxis. I heard they're really beautiful this time of year.
If
Might
we
wait
weren't
until I've got my own mode of transport.
If we weren't in a pressured situation, I would surely love to explore all of these places.
Maybe the mountains of Aeroxis. See breathtaking views.
The brochure shows up.
Yeah. We considered that one. My mentor wrote about going there. It sounded nice, but
I was really
our capabilities. Our capabilities just weren't really up to it at the moment when it comes to getting around.
No, you'd be surprised. The people that exist there are quite inventive.
Well, hopefully I'll have the chance to visit at some point.
Oh, I know the perfect place. All right. You'll love it as fleshy mortal things. Hear me out.
Is the realm of flesh?
All the fleshy pleasures you could want there.
Out of character, that's one of the hells, right?
No, Dermaxis is just the realm of flesh, which is a separate realm from the hells.
It's just meat.
It's just it's meat all the way down. I don't know if that would be a very good idea.
All right.
For us.
I like to think I'm a simple man.
I forgot about that
Just
one,
wanna
I'll be
go
honest.
Fine. You win. Now, where do I want to put you? And he taps a porcelain finger against his porcelain chin.
Although I wonder if elementals consider their own respective realms to be something akin to a realm of flesh.
I don't like that concept.
They don't really think that way, I'm afraid. They're elementals.
Well, that makes sense.
I was waiting for this man to fucking pull out a dartboard, and it's just like, all right, where's the map?
I will say this. If you have a suggestion of where you would like to be put, you can attempt a persuasion.
I have a suggestion, but I don't think Sveta would want to voice it just because it's her own curiosity and they would have no way to know how to get home.
Okay, yeah.
What is it?
The Silver City she saw in her dream.
That's
I don't
spicy.
remember that dream. Was I there for that session?
No, I don't think you were.
That
Oh,
was one of the sessions you missed.
Damn.
I mean, what would be more entertaining for your situation? Having us trek across an unknown, unexplored wilderness to us and attempt to navigate and fumble our way back to our civilization, or dropping us in the middle of buttfuck nowhere where we have no even concept of trying to get a way back to Aparo.
I mean, given that we haven't explored very much of the land it was on, we could be placed within a few miles of Aparo and not really find our way back.
If we get our cardinal directions wrong, we'll be wandering for a while.
No, you want to know what I would find the most entertaining? Is that porcelain grin again?
Okay, I admit I am curious.
Drop you off in the middle of Dominion territory on a whole other continent. I think that could be fun.
I don't like that.
Ria just looks tired. Like, oh.
The small sampling we had of their culture was not great.
Oh, come on now. Don't let a few bad eggs spoil the bunch.
They literally spoiled the entire settlement.
That is true. They spoiled
you
our
win
fun.
some, you lose some.
That was
But you have to agree that was far more entertaining than just shaking hands and being friends. Come on.
From a narrative perspective, I suppose I could see that.
Exactly. See, one of you understands and can appreciate the fine arts.
I'd like us to be on the same coast.
Same coast? You're no fun.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know which direction of that coast we'll be on. If we go the wrong way, we have to double back.
That's true. It was a 50-50.
Tell you what.
More than anything, I'm worried that the state of the people we left behind is a bit time sensitive. Not to mention the ones who were captured by the folk, I think.
Oh, yes, you won't be seeing them again. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Oh, well, you did see them again.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. They currently decorate a wall.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
I'll be there. I'll be there for a while. Tell you what. I will meet you halfway because I am just so kind and benevolent. Least you forget. And he will open the door to this car and gesture to the leather seats inside.
Let's take a cab to reality.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I appreciate it.
In the most esoteric sense, it was nice meeting you.
It certainly has been interesting.
It won't be the last time, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll be thrilled to know what all pieces you've put together the next time we meet.
What exactly do you last time and next time mean to you anyway?
I get in the car.
That's for you
I
to-
get in the car. I get in the car.
That's a good.
Tilk was gonna sit there, try to talk about that question we asked. He's like, never mind, not worth it.
No, I just wanted to ask that
Full
grid and
report.
sit in a car.
Also, don't shoot the ravens.
We were hungry.
Where am?
Yeah, well,
Wait, are we still hungry? Actually, I didn't even think.
Yeah.
I would personally find it rude. So don't. I'm asking nicely. He says with a
Yeah.
I like ravens anyway. I think
Fish are friends, not food.
I normally
They
like
are good
ravens.
people.
I've just been, I guess, made paranoid by being a chosen one.
They're good people.
Well, maybe things will work out and you won't be the chosen one.
Also, in fairness, the only time I thought about shooting ravens was for actual food because hungry.
Hungry.
I
So it
spent
was a food chain thing. I hope you can understand.
I spent a lot of time with ravens on the boat. They are good people.
They seem nice.
Better than the ones who didn't want to share an entire deck with me, at least.
Anyways, you should be going while I am shielding you from the chaos that is out here. Being out here long term is not good for a mortal's health. So he once again gestures to the inside of the car.
I'm gonna real quick check over Harrison. He's looking okay.
Harrison's just like,
He is just kind of like wide-eyed and like
Frozen.
just not fully trembling, but occasionally like trembles a little bit.
Your bunny is tripping balls.
So just Harrison. Got it.
how's your spellbind doing?
Yeah, he's semi-wigging out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. Rhea goes to take a seat in the car.
I feel just a little bad.
So you
The seats are comfy.
all pile in. The door shuts, and there is a dark-suited figure in the driver's seat, and they start driving. And you see them turn to look over the front seat, and it's just a raven. And they caw at you, and everything goes black.
Oh my fucking god.
I hate
I
this.
should have expected that.
Oh, man.
Would this be
Yeah.
a good time to stop, or do you want to introduce the next area?
Yeah, we're gonna go just a little bit more in the rest.
Okay.
Yep.
You come to the sound of fluttering wings. And it is fucking dark wherever the hell it is you are. You can vaguely make out the silhouettes of trees in the darkness. Like it's like in the woods at night, pitch black.
Yeah.
And you can hear ravens fluttering away. You can feel dirt beneath you. I'm assuming our magical folks are going to dancing lights.
Oh yeah, I got you. Excuse the fuck out of me. I have dark vision. You know who I am?
I have dork vision.
Okay.
I have that too, for sure.
I got me.
Damn sure.
I'm dancing lights prepared today.
Yes.
I think I do,
know.
actually.
I know you all are considerate, and you're not going to leave your non-dark vision people in the pitch black.
Yeah, I was just making that joke about like GM says it's dark, player instantly cuts in. I have dark, but yeah, I'll cast dancing lights.
And you see, you are sitting on the soil covered in like pine needles, and you look around and you can see around you there are massive tree trunks. And by I mean massive, I mean they could be like, you could carve out a tunnel that is like 3 cars wide.
Oh, damn.
These tree trunks are so massive. And you can send your lights up to their maximum range, and you will not even find the first branches of these trees. And you're not sure if it's night. Your instinct is that it's night. But if these trees are as massive as they are, potentially the canopy is so thick that no sunlight is making its way down here. So you're not really sure what time of day it is. And the air down here is still. And that's where we're going to leave off.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep.
This has been a fucking session, bro.
Full transparency to everyone. Partway through, I gave up on taking notes.
Yeah, man.
I just stopped.
I'm the same way.
Did I still
I'm pretty
continue
sure,
to take
like,
notes?
I'm pretty sure, like Erstyle, it just turned into scribbles.
If you look at your notes later, it's like, oh, damn it.
I turn back into normal reality, and all I see is redacted.
Redacted.
Yeah, it's just cause.
Redacted by the Federal Bureau of Control.
Yeah. Well, you have memory of the exchange, obviously, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So there's one thing that's before we leave off the session that Rhea would try as we get back.
Okay.
This is mostly me for me, remember, which is silver coin test again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Sure.
one of the dancing lights to give you some lighting.
Dagger, blood, and silver coin. Here we go again.
No reaction.
Oh.
Wow, and what the hell did he mean then?
Maybe
What
the other
did
people.
he mean?
Real's a little concerned now.
Here's my fear. Can I throw this
I'm
out here?
concerned about the other people who were infected.
Absolutely. Here's my fear. Didn't perfectly state a where. Also didn't outline a when. We could be before we arrived in Aparo.
This is true.
Oh,
Well, he would argue that we are before, after, and during.
Yes,
did
which
say-
makes that
he did-
concept fuzzier.
well, he did say that time travel was something Mortal shouldn't do.
Yeah, because of that, I assume this is not necessarily true that he wouldn't want to do that, but maybe he would. So
Real quick,
probably could.
we'll sign off. Thank you, Brave, for listening. Hope to have you on the next one when we go through a different existential crisis.
Oh yeah,
One every session.
week. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Rename it to existential crisis. I'm tired.
I'm queer. I'm filled with existential fear.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye-bye.